Welcome everybody. It's Friday, it's week 9. I have with me today Mike Thiessen. Wayne's getting an early start to the weekend, and we want to start using these Fridays to introduce some of our other team members. So you'll see some other people on the call. So Mike, why don't you introduce yourself?
Sure. So I'm the Director of Sustainable Investments at Genus. I'm also a partner at Genus. I've been here for about 3 years. And prior to Genus, I was in the UK. I had just finished an MBA at Cambridge and was working as a strategic consultant in London. I was really enjoying the work, working with finding sustainable solutions with banks and insurance companies. But my wife and I were looking for opportunities to move back home because we just had our second child in London. I grew up in Abbotsford. We have a lot of our extended family out here. And came across this great opportunity with Genus, working in an area, sustainable investing and impact investing, that I'm very passionate about. And so I was able to get the job and have been with Genus for the past 3 years. And Genus is very innovative when it comes to these areas, along with quantitative finance, and we have a great team. So it's been excellent.
Great. Well, I remember Mike interviewing you in a Zoom kind of situation years ago
Yeah.
when you were still at school, and we were pretty excited when we hung up to think we could get you. Genus has been in this business since 1992. I think I mentioned Carol Newell got us started down here. So we were really excited to find somebody with Mike's passion and Mike's education and just temperament to help us go forward. But before we get into, impact or fossil free, let's just do a quick review of what happened in the markets this week.
Sure. So this week, the markets were down. They were down a bit over 2%. And this was largely due to Jay Powell of the Federal Reserve coming out this week, not being quite as optimistic in his talks, saying that the U.S. economy might need some more stimulus in order to avoid any more long-term negative effects to the economy, more unemployment. And so this is more of a negative tone than what he's taken in the past. And this week, there also was a proposal for a $3 trillion stimulus bill in the States, but it looks like it probably won't be passed. The voting is actually today, but a lot of Republican senators saying that they don't think that it's necessary. And even some Democrats saying that they don't think that it should pass either. So, and there have been some negative numbers this week. So a bit of a damper on this week.
Great. Well, I always use the analogy of Humpty Dumpty when it comes to Jay Powell and his desire to not have an accident, because if Humpty Dumpty falls off the wall, you can't get him back up there. So that's what that's all about. So he wants help. He's asking for help.
Exactly.
So we have 2 fossil-free equity funds that eliminate the stocks we don't want to own, but we also have a more innovative, more focused impact fund that only invests in the good guys, as outlined by the UN 17 Sustainable Goals, focusing big focus on climate change. So that's my coolest. I think it's very cool. And I just thought maybe you could tell us about some of the bigger holdings we have in there.
Sure. So right now in the fund, we focus on holding companies that are providing solutions to big problems. So we have a lot of technology, a lot of healthcare, and then industrials that are focused on energy efficiency or renewables. So we have companies like Vestas Wind that designs, manufactures, constructs wind turbines all around the world. I think it's about 17% of the wind turbines around the world have been built by Vestas Wind. We also have companies like Vertex Pharmaceuticals. They provide health solutions for a lot of major diseases around the world. They've actually performed quite well so far this year. Also, Citrix Systems, we have a large holding. Citrix Systems focuses on cloud computing and other energy efficient technologies. And as you would guess, they performed quite well this year, given businesses wanting to rely more on cloud computing.
Right.
So those are some bigger
So the
holdings.
performance has been good recently, but that's not why I love it. I've loved it for the 6 years we've had it around, just because it's got a positive screen, and I think that's the way to go. So, Mike, one of the things that I find fascinating about the impact space is that there's judgment required. And for example, hydrogen is on the horizon as a really great technology to help us with emissions and that carbon problem. Um, so, tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. Yeah. So hydrogen for decades has been seen as a fuel source that could really help us against climate change. Because when hydrogen is burned, then it just creates heat and water. So that seems great, but it has been really hard to have hydrogen make economic sense, basically, over the past few decades. But there's more and more technologies that are coming out that make it that are able to make hydrogen for lower cost, which is really attractive for a lot of energy companies. And Vancouver has actually been the hotspot for a lot of hydrogen innovation, just given that we've had Ballard Power here for a while. So a lot of ex-employees and a lot of spin-offs have been creating some very innovative technology that have been helping with these problems. And for Genus, we would love to invest in some hydrogen technology, but there aren't a lot of public companies that are pure play focused on hydrogen. There are some like Ballard Power, but really the value isn't there with the stocks right now. So our financial models don't typically like them right now.
But I think the point to the clients is that we monitor it, and when we see an opportunity, we will be there. I think that's
exactly
important to say.
Yeah.
So what I think is important as we talk about our impact fund and our fossil-free funds is to remember that this is about 40% of our business. It's not 100% of our business. So I'm going to ask Mike now about a couple of stocks that have been excluded. And I don't want you to think that if you're in our non-fossil free that they've been excluded. But, you know, our clients feel strongly about also governance. And so, Mike, maybe tell us a little bit about Amazon and Facebook and why we don't own them.
Yeah, so unfortunately for those ones, they haven't passed our controversy screen. So they've had too many controversies around governance, and for Amazon, labor relations has been quite poor. Poor working standards, safety standards for Amazon, for especially the warehouse workers. And this has only been, really blown up with the whole pandemic. With Facebook, there's been a lot of data privacy issues. Of course, we've heard a lot of the big ones like the Cambridge Analytica stuff a few years ago, but there's been more since then. So there's governance plus other issues that make us not want to hold them in funds like this.
Right. So, Mike, there was some French homework on the printer at work, I was told. So I guess your kids are at home with you?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we're doing homeschooling these days. My daughter's in French immersion, so one day I accidentally printed off some French worksheets in the work computer rather than my computer. But it happens. Craziness these days.
So we're slowly people getting back to the office. So Mike might be in the office, but maybe 5 of our 30 people will be in the office coming up. But we'll slowly get back to work that way. But we've been very efficient, seamless. It's been great. So I'm going to end it here, and I'm going to say to you, isn't it great? We're getting more and more hugs. Dr. Henry's opening it up, and we're spending the weekend with our daughter and her family at Crescent Beach. So I'm so excited, and I hope everybody has a great weekend, and we'll talk to you next week. Thank you.
Thank you.